My name is Joshua Bassi, your host, and today we'll be discussing the UTME mass failure, what went wrong. We have in the house to discuss the topic, Mr. Victor Obayagbona, the editorial board chairman of BusinessDay, as well as Charles Oko, who is the education correspondent, BusinessDay newspaper. Gentlemen, you are welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go. On Monday, the Joint Matriculation Examination Board, also known as JAMB, released the result of the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. On the result shows that only two out of 1.9 students who wrote the examination, just about 1.5 were able to score 200 marks, and that was just what people have described it as what we can call mass failure. Well, education stakeholders have said that this is unacceptable, and there is a lot of concern about what could have gone wrong during the examination and how this is affecting education sector in Nigeria. All of the issues that students have to confront with, and the education sector, what's government doing? How come this year we have such massive failure in JAMB? And Victor, I'd like to start with you.
Okay.
What do you think must have gone wrong?
For me, there are multiple reasons why this year records they are recording mass failure, as they call it. Multiple reasons that spreads across the examination body, the examination stakeholders, that is the UTM, the CBT center owners, and to a very limited extent the students. So these are they all contribute to the mass failure we are all talking about today.
Charles, who is to blame here? Is it the student, or the parents, or JAMB, or the CBT centers?
Thank you. I wouldn't personally go by blaming, but I would say it is a system that has more or less, instead of being accountable to the stakeholders, that decided to intro rulership instead of leadership. The trend has been there for about 12 years now, from 2016. I think this year is the third worst in the first place. We've had it over and over, and JAMB seem not to be concerned. Where you are having mass failure for over a decade, you've not asked yourself what is wrong. A lot of things are wrong, like Chief Osai said. The students are the least in my blame card. I'll start with JAMB. How can you ordinarily be talking of, even if it's accreditation or whatever, you subject students to come into the hall by 6:30? No matter how you look at anybody that will be at a place by 6:30 would have to leave house at least by 5. And these are students, they are children. They are children. By the time you leave house by 5 for an examination, psychologically you are not really that ready, so to say. You also look at the CBT centers. There are a lot of reports whereby they get them. The system is not non-functional. It's a problem. It destabilizes a student. I've written a CBT exam, and I faced such whereby your system is on, you cannot stream. Even the little you know, you begin to forget it because emotionally you are not composed.
Yeah.
I think the board is not doing us any good. You see that every year, sorry I'm taking it, every year they keep increasing the fee, the form fee. And every year you keep having more people coming. It's as if the system is just out there to make money. I wouldn't know whether for government or for themselves. And come to think of it, JAMB umpires or the stakeholders in JAMB, that's the administrators, they also have these CBT centers. We have that record. So it's as if it's a chain thing. The students have their own blame, but it's minimal. But the JAMB, for crying out loud, why would you have 2-3 exams in a day? Then subjecting some set of people to come by 6:30, subjecting some other set to stay there late. Some will be there, they will be hungry. And ordinarily speaking, when you enter exam hall, when you are hungry, you won't give your best. I think it cuts across, and you can talk of the federal government because they've not really come out to say anything. Over a decade, it has been like that. This is the third worst. The worst was 2021, followed by 2018, and 2025 is the third worst.
Talking about having students to come as early as 6:30, but child, this is not the first time this year. I mean, this is not the first time we JAMB is having students to come as early as 5 and 6 and what have you. So what makes the difference this year? Why do we have this mass failure this year? Because it's always been the same time.
Thank you once again. I said something. If you follow what I said, it has been a trend that has been there for over a decade, over 10 years. Go back to the record, you see that since 2016 to date, we've not had up to 30% pass. I remember talking with JAMB officer, I don't want to call them. He told me there's nothing like pass. It's just that this is what you score. At the end of the day, ordinarily we believe that 200 is the average score, but that's not what they are looking at. So they don't believe in you pass or you fail. But what I'm saying is this: even though they have been doing it over the years, it has been a system that has not yielded the needed result, and that is why people are crying out. If it had been giving us the result we expected, we wouldn't be crying out. Now, like you made mention of blame before, I'm going back there. Part of the challenge we have is that we don't even have the teachers. I must mention that. It's not just having a system. The people that are to write the exam, how prepared are they? Now, they are not really that prepared. And we're also having a system that is not helping. That's what I think. It has been there for years. But go back to record, you see that within that record, they've not really done well. You are doing something and it's not giving you the needed result. And you are insisting. It's just like somebody being stubborn that it must be my way. But like they say, a life that is not evaluated is not worth living. When you do something, you evaluate it. Is this in giving us the needed result? Can we really say our children are not brilliant enough? Now, if they are brilliant, what is the problem? If they are not brilliant enough, how can we get them to be up to that?
To do better.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is where the issue. I, for one, do not agree that even as an adult, I want to write an exam. You're asking me to come to the center by 6:30. Except the center is in my house. So you can't expect me that I'm coming to maybe from Jakonde to Oshud. I can't, and I'm to be there by 6:30. I must leave the house before 6.
Yeah.
It has its own risk.
Yeah.
Not to talk of children. So you can destabilize a child. It's just one of them. There are a lot. Mr. Osai mentioned it. It's a cumulative thing. Some of the students are not even, they are not taking education serious again in Nigeria. Okay. A lot of young ones are not interested in education. What do you need the education for? You can make your money without education. They even tell you outrightly to your face. There are so many ways they make money, especially with the internet system on.
That's quite unfair. But, Victor, let me come back to you. The Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, has blamed this blame the mass failure on the fact that JAMB is able to cope examination malpractice by the introduction of a computer-based examination. So students are no longer able to cheat. And so and so many people have vehemently disagreed with the minister on this. I don't know what do you see any sense in what the Minister of Education has said?
Sincerely speaking, JAMB introducing the CBT system of writing the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board is a welcome development, and it has improved the rate of even commitment by the students themselves, because right from inception, the rate, if they want to be sincere with themselves, the rate of malpractice has reduced. Because
so the minister is right?
It's not right. That's what I'm saying. The rate of malpractice in the system JAMB introduced is a novel system that is not easily penetrated. My colleague just said something. What the major problem is lack of evaluation. The minister is just said that maybe just to say something and go continue what he's doing. It is not. Because if there is any malpractice this time, it must be by the JAMB officials themselves and the CBT center owners. And we learned that some of these JAMB officials, they are even the CBT center owners. The problem here, I happen to have some teenagers who wrote this very. When they went for the pre-examination they do, one of them could not write. Why? Because the CBT center, their computers were all down. And this is a CBT center that has registered with JAMB and told JAMB, look at what we want to do. And they could not do it. She did not write it. Now, look at another problem. Especially the schools across Nigeria. Now, majority of the private schools, they will tell you they prepare their students for the WAEC and the NECO. JAMB is not a priority to them. It's not a priority. And the secondary school to the government schools, majority, 90% of those writing this WAEC, they did not write JAMB. Why? The schools will tell them, prepare for WAEC instead of JAMB. After now, you can prepare for it. No, these are children, some of them, especially in public school, they have not touched the mouse before. There was a case of a little girl. It was in the examination when she told the teacher, one of the exam, please, this mouse is not okay. I don't know how to use it. The teacher taught her to use it. Right there, taught her how to use it. And that using it and clicking that mouse, that was the only question. At the end of that very exam, 1/40. Because what am I trying to say in effect is, those systems, some of them are out of place. My own son last year did the CBT examination. The computer was not good. I took him there. Okay, so a lot of things. It is convenient for some people to blame their own inefficiency on others. That's what I'm seeing in this very situation. They should evaluate their system. It's a very good system, but they should evaluate it and try to improve. And any CBT center found wanting should be discredited.
Okay, thank you, Victor. We have joining us online, Anita Okafo. She's a UTME coach. Anita, are you there?
Yes, please. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Anita. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so you are, so to say, teacher of students who write JAMB. So let me ask you. Is it the system that is frustrating the student, or is it that the student themselves are not getting it right?
Okay, thank you very much. I think first of all, I would like to say a very big thank you to Mr. Obo and Mr. Osai, because they have really explained some of the problems. I would say that it's a general stakeholder problem, to be honest. Yes, we know some of the students are not very serious, but then everything rises and falls on leadership. And the leaders in this case, one of the stakeholders I'm going to talk about will be JAMB itself. JAMB would probably say that you can't say that it's because of the registration process. That is why the students were not able to pass their examination. So I'm not even going to dwell on that, but I would like to talk about other things that happened even before the registration started. If I'm going to be using the English text, the Lekki headmaster, if that is going to be the English text that I, as a JAMB candidate, is going to be reading, please tell me why I'm finding out about this 2 months or maybe 3 months to my examination. It means that you don't have me in mind. It means that you don't take it seriously enough to let me know on time some of the materials that you require of me to read and get set for, right? And then, like Mr. Osai mentioned, not Mr. Osai, Mr. Obwa mentioned about the teachers. I would say that the curriculum does not even make an attempt to help people that are going to write UTME. And why do I say so? For instance, if I'm in SS3 and I know that I'm going to write examinations, like in SS3 already, you know that these students are going to write at least 3 examinations that year, from September down to July when they will graduate from secondary school. There's going to be UTME, there's going to be SSCE, some of them will write what we call NECO, and some of them will write GCE. These are all external examinations, and I don't see any reason why from September you cannot start preparing these students for these examinations. Why do we have to wait till the end, almost the end of registration, or like let's say February or March, before we intensify teaching and getting these students ready? And this goes to show in how their results come out, because you then see that they have poor and abysmal performances. If we are proactive as educators, if we are proactive as the body responsible for creating the curriculum for SS3 and students, then it behoves on us to ensure that the curriculum, we think of them before the examination period. So I don't see any reason why, for instance, literature students will be learning about Shakespeare, the Shakespeare book they will write for their UTME and for their WAEC and NECO. I don't see why you'll be giving it to them in their SS3 first semester and first term. Why not give it to them before then? I am a product of good parenting in terms of how my parents supported me. I decided that I was going to write my GCE when I was 14 years old. I wasn't going to use the GCE for anything. I just wanted to understand what it meant to be writing an external examination. I wanted to be prepared for writing external examinations, because most times schools don't train you to be ready for external examinations until the dying minute, right? So yes, we want to put the blame on the students. They say, oh, they are unserious, they are not very interested in education. Well, tell me why I, as a student, as a young person, were interested in education if all of the policies, if all of the structures that have been put in place are somewhat frustrating my efforts. Tell me why I would like to push myself and be resilient and be determined to do my best when I know that this system is going to frustrate me. Now, let's even talk about what Mr. Osai talked about when he talked that some people only learned how to use the computer, use the mouse while in the examination hall. I tell you, it's so funny, because you bring up CBT, and CBT is good. CBT is marvelous. I appreciate it. But the reality of things right now is that we cannot use CBT at this time. I think the best thing we can do is to do a hybrid system. I think in 2013, there was a hybrid system. JAMB should understand the reality of things. Yes, we want to be a technology advanced country, but right now, that's not our reality. If we are only able to cater properly to 200,000 students or 500,000 students, then say, okay, what we have is 500,000 CBT centers, centers that can accommodate 500,000 students. Why the remaining 1-point-something million can do paper-based tests? Because I see it as hypocrisy, pardon my English, to tell students to use CBT. Meanwhile, when they get into higher institutions of learning, they don't use CBT in their. So they are not even prepared for it. Okay, you make them do you make them go through all of this hassle, and then when they get into the higher institutions of learning, they are using paper-based tests and materials. So I think it cuts across a lot of sectors, and I want to push it to the leadership because, like I mentioned earlier, everything rises and falls on leadership. These people are still very young. They depend on us to guide them and lead them in the way that they should go. So if the bodies such as the teachers, the curriculum board, the JAMB centers, if we don't do what we're supposed to do, it's going to show negatively in the examination and in the results that we would see. I did my best by leveraging social media to reach the students. So, and when I got there, in some of the comment section, some of the things you see the students asking are, what is the parameter? How is JAMB going to score us? Because you have 60 questions in English, for instance, and nobody knows, nobody understands how you're going to mark these questions. Which one is 3 marks? Which one are you giving 2 marks? Which one are you giving 1.5? So everything is just out of place. And so I think that the board should still go back to the drawing board and see how they can organize themselves and save it. Yes, please.
All right, thank you, Anita. I will come back to you shortly. But Victor, let me ask you. You know, there are some school of thought who believe that JAMB should be scrapped. Really, I mean, you can't have students. They're going to do. There's a SSC, right? Then they will also do. Of course, by the way, after JAMB, the university will still,
pre-JAMB
examination, test or examination or what have you. And so the question really is that, do we really still need JAMB? So why subject students to layers of examination just for admission? Because what we are looking for here is admission into the university, right? So you do your SSC, and then you do JAMB, and then you go to university, you still do just for one admission. So some people believe, look, it is high time the JAMB is done away with and allows the university do examination for this student directly. I mean, so I don't know, do you subscribe to this?
Yes and no. Let me put it like that. No, because every country should have a system peculiar to it. JAMB is a system of examination into each university that is peculiar, not to Nigeria, but some other countries have their own system of admission. In some countries, you will do 2 years of college. You hear, my child is in the college, not really in the university now. That's the system should not be scrapped. What the system needs now is self-evaluation, where they are like what Anita just said. She has more in-depth because she's involved in this, in-depth knowledge about this. What she's saying, in effect, is JAMB should sit down where they have not been up and doing. They should try to improve instead of blanketly blaming those children.
Okay. And
why I say yes, I said no, because JAMB is peculiar to us and we should allow it. Just like some people will now advocate scrap NYSC, which the real reason they are not saying why NYSC, because we have a common place where our children, the future of Nigeria, can come together and brainstorm and know themselves. The same thing with JAMB, a common platform that should usher in our young children into the university. Why I say yes, if they must scrap it, they should revisit the issue of A-level. Many years ago, A-level was somehow scrapped, although some foreign schools still do it here. 2 years of post-secondary school examination, which is the best now. Because most of our children, they leave secondary school at some even 14. You see, they do their WAEC and they pass. What do they now do? They should, if they must scrap JAMB, they should make the A-level of 18 a compulsory platform that our children must pass through. In that very 2 years of A-level, at least majority will be 18 before they go into the. If that is, if they leave secondary at 16, 2 years of A-level, 18 before the. It will be good, so that they allow the university to handle their admission session. The A-level result now will now determine those who are qualified and those who are not qualified. What was tenable many years ago. Okay. So it's yes and no. It's not put structure in place before you scrap something.
Okay, Charles, let me come back to you. We've talked about so many problems. I will ask you, what do you think at this point in time should be the role of the government in ensuring that things get better?
Thank you. I so much believe in the system that if you want to do something, you look at the goal and the foundation that will sustain that goal. JAMB came to be in 1978. And before then, there was a system in Nigeria. Now, whatever prompted the government to introduce JAMB, has it really been achieved? I think that should be the question we ask ourselves. It's not just the issue of curbing exam malpractice. I'm not an apostle of exam malpractice, but that should not just be the whole, the conclusive end. How do we get a Nigerian child better? What kind of system do we need that will help a child to be a better child? Now, I would suggest for me that JAMB has not really, for me as a person, JAMB has not really fulfilled the goal set for them. Yeah, what I see there is more like revenue generating. Yes. In terms of improving a Nigerian child, they have not done that. And what they need is to really, Anita mentioned it and Chief Osai mentioned it, let them go back to the drawing board. How, now, the CBT, for instance, you asked him, I don't think is the solution. And if he has curbed the exam malpractice, yes, to an extent. But the malpractice comes from different angles. So, in a nutshell, we should look at how do we get a Nigerian child better entering the university. Is it by, let's say, 1 hour writing JAMB or whatever minute they stay writing JAMB? Is it really the true test of a child? If it is not, how best? Like you said, we can use the hybrid system. Or for me, let the universities admit directly on their own. We have it abroad. There's no system that is peculiar to any country. Every of the system we have, we borrowed from one country or the other. We blend it to suit our system. In Britain, they don't have a central board whereby people write exam to enter university. In America, they don't have a central board whereby people write exam to enter university. I'm not saying it's a crime in Nigeria, but the Nigerian factor is coming in.
Okay, Charles. Anita, are you still there?
Yes, please, I'm here.
Okay, Anita. Earlier on, you talk about parenting and all of that. So let me ask you, what role do you think parents can play in ensuring that it gets better than what we have seen this year going forward? And of course, again, let me also quickly add, because we are running out of time. Okay. Do you see infrastructure playing a better role in the better education infrastructure, in making sure that we have a better education outcome in the country?
Thank you very much. So I did an episode in one of, because like I said, I leverage social media to tutor students. And so one of the episodes I did, I just focused on parents. And I mentioned that parents, in a bid to support your children while they're getting ready for their UTME, number one, you need to help them with getting past questions. You need to get involved in their lives. Some of the parents we have these days, due to the economic realities and whatnot, they have pushed most of their responsibilities to the teachers, to the schools, to take care of their kids, and so they know little or nothing to their children's life or their education. What they want to do. So, for instance, if your child is going to write either SSC or UTME, you should know that there are two different kinds of past questions for those different examinations. How have you bought those past questions for them? Do you sit with them to revise with them? Try and be involved in their lives as much as possible, right? Parents should also read up by themselves what is going on in the education system. Most parents don't do that. This is a child you gave birth to. This is a child you are taking care of. You need to be more involved in order to give them a solid foundation and to help them move on to what they're supposed to do. Some of them don't even know why they want to choose the courses that they want to choose. Right? You need to understand what your life, the life of your child is going to turn out to be. So parents can help in sitting down to study with their kids or revising with them, talking to them, have this communication open. And now with what you talked about infrastructure, I would like to point out that I like what Chief Asai mentioned about the curriculum in terms of A-levels. So I think A-levels is very nice and very okay. But let's face the reality, they might not want to go that route for now. So what can we do? What we can do is we should try as much as possible from the very beginning, to ensure that our curriculum makes provision for students to be trained for external examinations very early. So from SS3 first term, the curriculum should provide for revisions, mock examinations, not bringing new materials, right? I was only able to, imagine me trying to attempt to write GCE at 14 in my SS2 first term. And I passed. I had B2s and I had B grades. My lowest score was even a C6. And I did not even cheat. There was no need to cheat because I had been reading and getting ready for this external examination. I was not just reading and getting prepared for just my school examinations. So imagine what would happen if you give these students about 12 months or maybe 9 months to prepare for their external examinations, all the ones they are going to write. Imagine what would happen, right? In spite of all the CBT problems and challenges that they may face, if a child already has knowledge, already knows what is going to come out in the examination in terms of like being prepared, if they already are prepared, then when the challenges come in terms of like technology and all of that stuff, they can be able to bounce back or at least do better than what we have seen so far. So my suggestion would be curriculum development. We need to look at what we are teaching SS3. If we need to still teach them, or we need to be doing revisions, and then this is either we do a hybrid system or we just find a way to go about it.
All right. Thank you so very much, Anita. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Charles, for the insightful conversation we've had this morning. I want to believe that the government, JAMB, and all the stakeholders within the education system have listened, and they will be able to take some of the suggestions that have been made here today and get them into action, so that we don't want to see a situation where our children just can't pass JAMB and move on. Particularly JAMB, I think JAMB has a particular role to play here in getting the students to do better than we have seen this year. So thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.
Wrap on the BDTV Roundtable this morning. Thank you for watching.